it's been a very long time since I've chatted with. Is this the first time he's joined our program? I think it is.
I gotta think so.
I think so. We're turning 11 next month, ladies and gentlemen. Courtesy of Allstate, ESPN, and so much more. Tim Tebow, everybody.
Good to see you. So much for having me. Come on, it's been way too long since I've talked to you, so it's good to connect, man.
Well, Tim, I think pop it up on the screen. I just heard. I just been surprised by my own team. We have a photograph. Look at us. Look at the baby faces on the screen right there.
Wow.
Look at that.
Gosh, I wish I got to see it. Come on.
That's it right there. That's it. That's where we're little babies in 2012. February. This is a Super Bowl in 2012. Back in the day, man. And look at you now. You're fine wine. I don't know what's happened to me. You know what I mean? I've fallen apart.
All I know is the run, Rich, run, man. Your form's getting better every year. I love it. I mean, most of us just decline in our athleticism, and you just continue to grow and adapt and improve. I love it.
I appreciate that, Tim. It's good to see you. So let's talk a little ball first before we get into the matter at hand about what's going on. I'll just jump in and give you the floor on what's happening at your alma mater and your 2 cents on what's happening there. Tim, what do you think?
Well, I actually think that there's a lot. It's people won't fully understand this, but there's a lot to actually be encouraged about if you actually watch the all 22 and the coaches tape. You go to Death Valley at night against one of the top teams in the country, and for a lot of areas you match them stride for stride, and in some areas you outperform them, but you're just not going to win with 5 turnovers. I don't care what level, when you lose 5 turnovers to, I believe, 1, like you're not going to win. When your defense really shuts them to 10 points, but your offense gives them another 10, like it's too hard to win, especially in the SEC at night. And so I think when you really look at it, there's a lot to be encouraged, but you have to win in situational football. And there's a reason why those always get talked about as the fundamentals: turnovers, scoring in the red zone, penalties, third downs. There's just certain things that are always the basics. And you have a team that in areas are playing really well, but in some of the fundamentals, the penalties, the turnovers, scoring in the red zone, when you lose all of those, it makes it almost impossible to win the game. And so that's just areas. The situational football is where we have to improve.
Which is the best team in the SEC through the first almost month of the season? Then would you say, Tim?
I think the first team came to my head was probably Oklahoma. When you look at their violent, aggressive defense, when John Mateer as a quarterback, he's fun to watch. He's twitchy. He's a twitchy dude. I think he's probably kind of has a little bit of that Johnny Manziel twitch in the pocket, ability to get it out really fast, super accurate. Their receivers, underrated, can make a lot of plays, like just can take the top off. I'm excited to see when they get more of these backs going, Jaden Ott and some of these other guys going. I think they can improve their running game. But that Michigan team was a good team that the game was closer. The score was closer than I think it really was. Like, they really dominated a lot of that. Michigan had the one big play to start the second half and made it feel closer, but that was a really good performance by Oklahoma. But I also think you cannot take Auburn lightly this weekend because they're much improved. Jackson Arnold would be a good storyline coming back to Norman, but they're getting better, and Auburn's receivers are pretty darn athletic, and they can take the top off and make big plays, and their defense is improved. So I'm excited. We actually will fly to Norman here in a couple of hours to be a part of that for SEC Nation, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I can understand why you'd think Mateer is fun to watch, but I did go to the University of Michigan. That was not fun to watch, and I can confirm to you, Tim, that the scoreboard difference felt much larger watching. That it felt as if this thing was over, and obviously I was hoping that there would be some form of a Tebow time-like comeback, with few minutes to go, but that did not materialize, Tim.
You have to be encouraged by Bryce Underwood.
Oh my God, I've never seen Tim. I'll say to you what I've said here. I went to school starting there in 1986. So from Harbaugh to the present day, I've seen Michigan quarterbacks, including Brady, including name it. Chad Henne had a big arm. Joe Milton, while he had a cup of coffee there, obviously had a big arm. I've never seen an arm like this attached to a body like that in one human being playing quarterback for Michigan. Ever.
It's Rich. It's so crazy. So we flew to Pasadena for the cover shoot for the EA Sports game, and so there's all these different players that Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith and everyone, and Bryce Underwood is there, and he's right beside me as we're taking some of the photos, and I'm standing beside Coach Day and some of the other coaches, and we're talking, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, it's my first time to see him. I've seen some of his tape, but it's my first time to see him up close and personal, and I'm like, holy cow. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's what a lot of people think the first time they see Cam Newton is you're like, whoa. Like, It's just different. It's just, I'm not saying other guys aren't athletic or gifted at all. You're just saying, like, wow. Like, when God made him, he just made him bigger, stronger, faster. Like, he's just gifted. Like, it's just different. And you're like, he like, his size and his length and the physicality, he looks like he's 24. And it's so gifted. And I'm really excited to see. And everybody's like, well, week 1, week 2, and you're like, no, he's still a baby and he's got to give time to develop and learn. And just because you're that talented doesn't mean everything's going to come easy. And I actually think that he's handled the pressure really well. I'm excited to see, what he's going to become, because his gifts are just off the charts.
Yeah, we had him here in studio in the summertime, and my oldest son is 17, and I kept looking at Bryce Underwood, and I'm like, they're the same age, and I'm like, wow. And what you said about Cam too, Tim, that Super Bowl where I met you, that photograph of us. Is from the Super Bowl where I met Cam for the first time. It's the one in Indianapolis where Eli dropped that ball to Mario Manningham on the sideline for a touchdown to beat, or a big play to lead to the eventual game winner against the Patriots. I met Cam there for the first time and had the same reaction. And then I just saw Cam again in Brazil because he's part of a YouTube broadcast of Chiefs and Chargers. And I still had the same reaction of just like, I cannot believe you played quarterback in the National Football League. It's just monstrously large person, incredibly talented as well. Before we move on, what advice would you give Arch Manning right now, Tim Tebow?
That's a good question.
Thank you, sir.
I'd encourage him. Like, man, you're a gifted player. You're a really good player. You just need to be encouraged. Remember it for the love of the game. He's at a location right now with great coaches, great players around him, but there's just a lot of pressure. And pressure is real. And it's hard to sometimes explain that to people. And one of the easier examples I would try to use is look at the PGA Tour or Live Golf, right? When they show up on Thursday and they've had practice rounds, look at the scores, but then look at the scores on the same course on Sunday. What's the difference? You've played it more. The only difference is it's Sunday pressure, right? And that just gives an example of how pressure is real. And so I just encourage him, remember the love of the game and play for it. And you don't have to make every play. You don't have to be perfect. I have really appreciated the way he's carried himself. For 3 years now, I appreciated the way that he's handled it as a teammate with Quinn, and when he took over, the way he's handled even some of the disappointments. I think he's a great example of someone that has handled hype and criticism. He hasn't pointed fingers. He's just handled it really well. So I just say, one, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the way he's handled it, but also, like, try to block that out and remember how much you love the game. And yeah, people will keep talking. There'll be praise and there'll be criticism. A lot of time, maybe the praise is, sometimes, off the charts, and criticism is too. And it's usually somewhere in between, and just try to block it out. Love the game, love your teammates, enjoy it. It was probably advice I needed a lot, especially my senior year, because we weren't just playing against the team we played. We were also playing against what we had done in the past, and the hype or the criticism of it. And I needed to be reminded, and I should have done a better job of trying to keep that in perspective and just handle it, and remember how much I love this game and my teammates, and how much I dislike the rivals, and just remember the love of the game that I grew up running into the yard and couldn't wait to go throw. And every commercial break, I would run and go dive and score a touchdown, and before I'd run back in, like, remember that. And I think that is just so important, especially when, he can't go walk anywhere, get outside of it. Like, that's different. And it's hard sometimes for people to just understand, like, if you can't walk anywhere, you can't really talk to anybody about it, because, it's hard. Who do you trust, who you have, and how he has this awesome family, but it's just different. And so I think I just try to understand it and have, I think, just a level of understanding and a level of compassion for where he's at.
Well, my follow-up to that is, did you ever have to have that conversation with yourself as a pro when you were in the NFL?
Yes.
When?
Yes.
When, in particular?
Several times in training camps where you would just be getting, crushed, with criticism, and I needed to be remembered. Like, I needed to remember and be reminded that I can play this game. And you need that encouragement. And I remember a few times having to go back and being so discouraged that I would have to go back, and I needed to go put on a highlight video or go watch or be encouraged. Man, I can go do this, and remember that love of the game to truly try to block out the noise, and remember the love of the game, because I think the perfect love casts out fear. Remember why you're doing it. Love it. Fall in love with it again. Try to get rid of the noise, and then remember the relationships with your teammates. And those were the best ways for me to kind of get through it, and kind of rebuild confidence.
Well, I mean, I've seen you in person play as a professional on NFL Network, and the whole Tebow time conversation with you, Tim, where it would be darn near 56 minutes of struggle. And the last 4 minutes, I'm serious, man. I've seen it. It was real. I saw it on a Thursday night against the Jets, where Tim Tebow time hit, and it looked like a different player. Did you feel something different? Because it was real to me, and I'm wondering how real it was to you that it's Tebow time in the NFL.
Rick,
I've seen it.
Sometimes I just wish I could have been better in the first three quarters.
I know.
Remember I even had one, maybe two coaches, but I remember one conversation. He was like, "Hey, man, the end of the game now was awesome. How can we do that in the first half?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's not that it's a lack of effort or focus. I don't know. It's the more you get into the game and the rivalry and the heat of it, or those moments, I don't know. I just always have loved it. It doesn't matter the sport or the age of it. I love those moments, and I felt like it was just, for some reason, I would play better. Now, I should have just really learned how to just play better in the first three quarters, and
right?
Have a different conversation.
Well, I mean, and the last one, and then we'll get to what we were going to discuss with Allstate. The first ever NFL playoff game with the new overtime rules, where a touchdown wins it, field goal doesn't, but a touchdown does. Jim Nantz on CBS was barely halfway through describing what the new overtime rules were when you hit Demaryius Thomas to beat the Steelers. What was that moment like for you, from overtime conversation to huddle to snap, play call, all of that, if you don't mind walking me through that?
Yeah, it was surreal, the celebration. But one of the fascinating things, Rich, about that play is we had been in that formation. Goodness, remember off the top of my head, on first down, maybe 20-something times in the game, and getting ready for the overtime. We had been running a lot of zone read because their ends were so gifted that why would we not just read them instead of block them when they're somewhat unblockable? Mm-hmm. Especially at James Harrison. So we were like, let's just read them. So we had run that quite a few times in the game, and so we were on the sidelines, and we had that pass concept we ended up using, but we had never done it out of that formation, and I think we had only ever done it out of under center as a play action. So Coach McCoy, we are sitting down, we think, what can we do this off of the gun? So we literally, although we've done that play action and we've done the route concept, we've never done it all together. And so that was a first time we had ever done that in overtime. And when when I walk up to the line and so we're calling the protection, I'm looking, I'm like, there's no way. Like, are they really playing zero right now? And honestly, it's because of the run, and they wanted both of those safeties to be able to come in and fill and gap contain. And so I'm just like, no way. And so I get the snap and the play action. I'm thinking, is this safety not going to get back? And they didn't. So now you see both of them that are dropping down, and Demarius gets behind him and throw it, and then Demarius does the rest and the stiff arm and running down the sideline. And one of my favorite moments about that is when you watch the coach's copy, or maybe even I think it was on CBS, the CBS copy, you can see as Demarius is running down the sideline, Champ Bailey, a Hall of Fame cornerback that is an amazing leader, an awesome friend, and awesome guy, is how much a veteran like that cares. He's sprinting down the sideline almost as fast as DT is, and DT is really fast. And that just shows like the relationships and that brotherhood on that team, that you have one of the best players at his position ever, maybe, and Champ cares that much that he is on the sideline and he is sprinting full speed right beside DT. And it's just one of my favorite things to show the belief and the family and the friendship that team really had.
What was the moment like when you saw Elway after that, Tim?
It's just surreal. I mean, all of the coaches, all of the staff, all of the front office, right. It was, I think one of my favorite things about it was watching all of my teammates be celebrated by the stands that didn't leave. Like, they stayed there for like what felt like forever. They just stayed, and people stayed and celebrated, and it's just such a special moment. It really was, and it's a moment that I just think was really special, and the way that it was celebrated by so many. And I wish I could keep celebrating it with DT, and you'll miss it a lot.
Well said. Well put, Tim. Let's talk about the All-State AFC Good Works team. What is it? What should people know about it, and maybe get involved in any way, shape, or form?
Well, what they should know about it is this is an incredible award for what these young men are doing, not on the field, but off the field. Because, Rich, there's so many amazing awards for how they perform on the field, but this is for who they are and the impact they're making off of the field. And that's why I'm so grateful for All-State and the AFC Good Works team of celebrating these young men, because it is so important that young people have role models, not just for what they do on a field or a court or in a sport, but what they do and who they are off of it and the impact they're making. And we look at what these young men are doing, like Adam Randall at Clemson, and the difference he's making in South Carolina and South Africa, or Coach Venables and the difference he's making as the honoree coach, or Josh Gaddis, a tight end for Kentucky, or Richie Leonard and the offensive lineman for FSU. And he's making an amazing job. If I'm going to highlight an FSU player as a Gator, and all of these players and the difference that they're making, and truly the impact that they're having. And I've been able to see it firsthand. I've been able to see it through stories. I've been able to see it through lives and communities. And it's just so special. Take Michael Tapp, the safety at Texas, that's an incredible player. And, every time he gets a tackle, it's Taft's tackles in fighting fentanyl awareness. And so I just love it. Like, there's such a... when so many people, especially now in college, are making it about them, they're making it about so many others in their communities, especially those that are suffering. And so I'm so grateful, and I'd love to ask your listeners to go to espn.com/Allstate and go vote for who you believe should be the team captain, who will also receive the Allstate Werfel Trophy. Danny was a hero to me, and so it's awesome that we get to celebrate that. And there's so many amazing stories, so go vote for who you believe should be the team captain.
Yeah, man. You were the 2008 Allstate Werfel Trophy recipient, and a 2009 Good Works team member, so obviously this has been around a while. And Fans can vote through November 10th who should win the 2025 All-State Werfel Trophy recipient. Great to see you, Tim. Let's do this more often, man. This was a lot of fun.
Sure,
Great memory lane stuff. Great memory lane stuff. And I believe, again, the day that I met you for the first time was on the NFL Network, NFL Total Access Super Bowl set in Indianapolis, where Madonna showed up as well. I don't know if you crossed paths with Madonna on that day, Tim, but
I don't think I did. At least not on that show.
Yeah,
but
it was, yeah.
I love it. What a great, awesome memory. I love it. Let's do it again soon, brother. Thank you.
That's Tim Tebow. Obviously, you could check him out on the SEC Network through ESPN and right here on the Rich Eisen Show.